Kelly Clarkson has never been a stranger to heartbreak, but the story she has carried in silence is one few ever expected. For years, fans saw the pop superstar smiling on stage, raising her children, and pushing through personal challenges with quiet resilience. Yet behind closed doors, her life was unraveling in ways the public never imagined. From betrayal in her marriage to the shocking revelation that surfaced only after her ex-husband's passing, Kelly is finally breaking the silence, and what she has to share changes everything we thought we knew, from Texas Girl to American Idol. Kelly Clarkson's journey did not begin with fame or fortune. It began with hardship. Born in Fort Worth, Texas in 1982 and raised in the small town of Burleson, she grew up in a broken home after her father left when she was only 6 years old. Her siblings were separated, and she was raised by her mother, a schoolteacher, in a modest house where money was always tight. Kelly often described her childhood as one filled with church services and conservative rules, but very little joy. For her, music was never just a dream, it was a lifeline. The turning point came when her middle school choir teacher overheard her singing in the hallway and pushed her to audition for the choir. That one decision lit the spark of a career that would eventually change popular music forever. But the road was brutal. After graduating in 2000, Kelly turned down music school scholarships to chase real-world experience. She worked odd jobs, from telemarketing to waitressing, just to pay for studio time. Her first demo was rejected by every label she approached. By 2001, she had tried to make it in Los Angeles, only to end up homeless when her apartment caught fire. She returned to Texas defeated, believing she had run out of chances. Then came the phone call that would rewrite her destiny. In 2002, on a dare from a friend, she auditioned for a brand new show called American Idol. No one knew if the series would even succeed, but Kelly stepped on that stage with nothing to lose. Within weeks, her powerhouse voice captured the nation. On September 4, 2002, she became the first winner of American Idol at just 20 years old. Her debut single, A Moment Like This, broke records by shooting from number 52 to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, surpassing a decades-old record once held by the Beatles. Overnight, the Texas girl who once couldn't afford a proper demo became a superstar. What no one could have predicted then was that this same woman would later find herself entangled in a marriage, a divorce, and a legal battle so devastating it nearly cost her everything she had built. The love story that wasn't. Kelly Clarkson first crossed paths with Brandon Blackstock in 2006 at a rehearsal for the Academy of Country Music Awards. At the time, he was still married, but she admitted years later that the moment she saw him, she felt something she had never experienced before. She told People magazine in 2013, "I'm like that guy, hot, normal, and funny. I'm gonna end up with him. I know it." It was a gut feeling she couldn't shake, though life would keep them apart for several more years. It wasn't until 2012, backstage at the Super Bowl, that the two finally reconnected, both newly single and ready to give the spark a chance. Within months, their romance intensified. By December of that year, they were engaged, and in October 2013, they were married. For Kelly, who had grown up without a stable father figure, Brandon seemed to be the man who would finally give her the safe, loving family she longed for. She bonded not only with him, but also with his 2 children from a previous marriage, Savannah and Seth, whom she considered her own. Their life appeared picture perfect. Kelly spoke openly about how she had never felt attracted to anyone before Brandon, even admitting she once thought she might be asexual. With him, everything changed. She described feeling passion for the first time, calling him her Mr. Manly Hunter pilot guy, and even taking flying lessons just to connect with his interests. Fans saw Instagram photos of vacations, laughter, and family sing-alongs, and they believed it was the real thing. In 2014, the couple welcomed their daughter, River Rose, followed by their son Remington in 2016. From the outside, it looked like Kelly had finally found her fairy tale. She had her dream career, a loving husband, and a blended family. But inside their marriage, Kelly was already struggling with an unshakable loneliness. In interviews much later, she confessed that even while married, she often felt like a single mother, carrying the emotional and practical load on her own while trying to juggle her booming career and two young children. What fans didn't know then was that the cracks in their marriage would deepen into betrayals, legal battles, and eventually secrets that Kelly kept hidden for years, even after the marriage ended, the hidden betrayal and the divorce. In June 2020, the news stunned fans. Kelly Clarkson had filed for divorce from Brandon Blackstock after nearly 7 years of marriage. On paper, the reason was listed simply as irreconcilable differences. But behind that sterile legal phrase was a storm of pain, betrayal, and a devastating truth Kelly chose not to reveal to the public. At least, not then. At the time, everyone thought the split had come out of nowhere. Friends described their marriage as strong, and their family photos painted a picture of stability. But the timing of certain events has since raised troubling questions. That same month, Clarkson's longtime assistant, Brittany Marie Jones, moved to Montana to continue working for the family. She had been with the couple for 4 years, trusted by Kelly both personally and professionally. Yet, within that same timeline, Brandon's relationship with Jones began to surface. For Kelly, this was the final straw. The sense of betrayal ran deeper than infidelity. It was the fact that Brandon chose to move on with someone from inside her trusted circle, someone she knew and once relied on. A source later told Daily Mail that this was just the icing on the cake of the disappointment Clarkson felt over the delusion of their marriage. Brandon may have been a devoted father, but as a husband, Kelly realized she had been living in an illusion. Still, she refused to drag the details into public view. She did not expose Jones, nor did she allow her fan base to target another woman. Kelly kept her statements vague, focusing only on protecting her children. She admitted in interviews that going through a divorce under the glare of the cameras was agonizing, describing her life at the time as a little bit of a dumpster. But she carried that secret betrayal quietly, determined to shield her kids from the ugliness. The divorce itself was a war. Over the next 2 years, Clarkson and Blackstock fought bitterly over custody, finances, and property. There was the Montana ranch, which Brandon refused to leave, dragging the case out for months until a court finally ordered him off the property in June 2022. There was spousal support, child custody, and endless legal filings. By March 2022, the divorce was settled, but the wounds were far from healed. Publicly, Kelly kept her words restrained. Privately, she was shattered, not only by the end of her marriage, but also by the realization that the man she had once believed saved her from her father's abandonment had repeated the same pattern. She had written Piece by Piece years earlier, a song praising Brandon for loving her in all the ways her father had failed to. After the divorce, those lyrics took on a haunting irony: the legal battles and Brandon's secret choices. As the divorce dragged on, Kelly Clarkson's heartbreak was compounded by a stunning discovery. Her ex-husband had been managing her career illegally. Brandon, through his father's company Starstruck Management Group, had negotiated major deals on her behalf for years without holding the proper license required under California law. For Kelly, who had trusted her husband with both her personal life and her career, this was more than just a legal issue. It was a betrayal of her livelihood. In November 2023, a California labor commissioner ruled in Kelly's favor, ordering Brandon and Starstruck to repay her more than $2.6 million in damages. The ruling revealed that Brandon had collected commissions from deals he was never legally authorized to broker, including her lucrative role on The Voice. It was fraud hiding in plain sight, and for Kelly, It confirmed what she had long suspected, that she had not only been emotionally abandoned, but financially exploited as well. Brandon appealed, of course, but by May 2024, just before the case was scheduled for trial, the two sides quietly reached a confidential settlement. While the details were sealed, the damage was already done. Kelly had gone from believing she had a partner in both life and business to realizing she had been deceived on both fronts. For years, she had shielded the truth, telling herself, and the world, that things weren't as bad as they seemed. But the ruling stripped away that illusion. In an interview in early 2025, she finally admitted, "Nobody knew what he really did. I kept quiet for years because I was trying to protect everyone, but not myself." That sentence hit hard. It revealed the cost of her silence and the depth of her sacrifice. She had protected Brandon to spare her children, to avoid media spectacle, and perhaps even to avoid admitting how badly she had been wronged. It was this revelation that reframed the divorce not just as a personal failure, but as a story of manipulation and exploitation. Brandon may have once been the man she called her savior, but by the end, he had become the source of her deepest betrayal. And just as she began to find her footing again, life delivered an even crueler twist: illness, death, and Kelly's silence. Just as the dust began to settle from the divorce and legal battles, tragedy struck. Brandon Blackstock was diagnosed with an aggressive form of melanoma. For more than 3 years, he kept the illness private, retreating to the Montana ranch he once fought Kelly over, spending his final months surrounded by family and the wide-open spaces he loved. Fans had no idea he was ill until the very end. In early August 2025, Kelly abruptly canceled several Las Vegas residency shows, just 90 minutes before one performance was scheduled to begin. At the time, she told fans that rehearsals had strained her voice and she needed to protect herself. But behind the scenes, the truth was far heavier. Brandon's health had deteriorated sharply, and Kelly wanted to be fully present for their children. On August 6th, she revealed publicly that her children's father was sick, asking for privacy. A day later, on August 7th, Brandon passed away at the age of 48. The news shocked fans. A family representative confirmed to People magazine that Brandon had bravely battled cancer for more than 3 years and passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. Tributes poured in, with many expressing heartbreak not only for Kelly but also for River and Remington, who had lost their father far too soon. Even Reba McEntire, Brandon's stepmother and one of Kelly's closest friends, spoke with compassion, saying she loved them both deeply and was praying for the family. Kelly went silent. For nearly a month, she stepped away from the stage and from social media, leaving fans to both worry and respect her choice. Then, on September 4th, exactly 23 years after she won American Idol, she broke that silence. She posted the iconic snapshot of her winning moment, thanking the fans who voted for her back in 2002 and writing, "Winning American Idol changed my life and I will be forever grateful she never mentioned Brandon." But the timing said it all. By choosing that moment to return, Kelly sent a quiet message. Even in grief, she was determined to stand tall. She balanced heartbreak with gratitude, reminding fans of the triumph that began her story. It was a return that carried both pain and strength, the trademark combination that has defined Kelly Clarkson's life: reinvention, healing, and the life after Brandon. The months following Brandon Blackstock's death forced Kelly Clarkson to confront not just grief, but also the reality of starting over once again. She had already survived the loneliness of marriage, the pain of betrayal, and the scars of a bitter divorce. Now she faced the challenge of raising River and Remington without their father while still carrying the weight of her public life. Yet as she has done so many times before, Kelly turned pain into purpose. By 2023, even before Brandon's illness became public, she had already poured her heartbreak into music. Her album Chemistry gave fans a raw and unfiltered look at the emotions she had endured, from love to rage to regret. Songs like Mine and Red Flag Collector struck a nerve because they were brutally honest, laying bare what she had endured in her marriage. After his death, those lyrics carried even more weight, offering a glimpse into the storm she had been navigating long before the world knew. In early 2025, Kelly made one of the boldest moves of her career by leaving Atlantic Records and launching her own independent label. Her first indie single, Where Have You Been?, was both a creative declaration and a personal one. She was no longer tied to the business decisions of others. She was fully in control of her art, her voice, and her future. That summer, she launched a new Las Vegas residency, Kelly Clarkson Studio Sessions, a stripped-down and intimate series that reminded fans why they fell in love with her in the first place. Away from the spotlight, her focus has never wavered: her children. At 11 and 9, River and Remy are her emotional center. She has admitted she isn't rushing into romance, saying she never wants to marry again. She's been in love, she's been hurt, and now her priority is stability. She even joked in interviews that her kids prefer her to stay single for now, and she respects their wishes. Kelly's life today is quieter but also fuller. On her ranch, she cares for over 80 rescued animals. Through her talk show, now entering its 7th season, she continues to connect with millions by being candid, warm, and real. She supports charities from Feeding America to the March of Dimes, and she remains deeply involved in causes close to her heart. The girl from Burleson, who once thought she had no way out, now stands as proof that even through betrayal, legal battles, and loss, it is possible to rebuild. Kelly Clarkson has carried secrets, endured heartbreak, and survived tragedy. But she has never lost her voice. And now, she's finally telling the truth about the man who once stood beside her and the legacy he left behind. Kelly Clarkson has lived through love, betrayal, and unimaginable loss, yet she continues to rise stronger than ever. Do you think she'll ever open her heart to love again, or will her focus remain only on her kids and career? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this.